Welcome back. This is Sachin again, and actually, so again, this is another video on Kafka. I will try my best to keep it short. So let's get started. So basically, so far we have seen in my previous video, if you have followed, we have always run Kafka streams or Kafka application always in standalone mode. And basically, there is an option you can expose these services or applications as a web application. So that's we are going to learn today. So let's get it started. All right. So here, what I'm going to do here is there will be a Kafka topic, let's say employee, and I'm going to push in real time in a specific interval, some kind of a dummy objects into that topic. And I'm going to run my stream applications in a separate terminal, which will actually tap on these this particular topic and we'll do the analytics. So basically, what I'm going to do here is like just employee is ID and name, is having ID, name, salary, age, and department. So basically, I'm just a very simple, just for a department ID, find the count of employees. So once Kafka stores that information, we are going to expose it as a web application. Okay, so let's see. By the way, if you have already followed my previous tutorials, you might have already observed that I have created a very small utility where you just input your CSV file, tell the topics, and basically in what interval you want to push these elements or these rows in the CSV file to the Kafka. And by default, it will listen to localhost 9092, but if you want to give, you can give an -s option. I will put a that video link. It's a hardly a 9-minute video. Please look into this so that you can leverage that one. So actually -x option. You can also actually -h basically. Oh, yes. So yeah, I think they both are same. So basically, if you want to provide your server information, you can give with -s option. If you don't give, it will by default take your host. So anyways, let's okay, .ks -t, yeah. So every second I want to push each row in my employee.csv, and if you want to see how employee.csv looks, it's just ID, gender, name, department ID, age, monthly salary. What I'm going to use is just a department ID, that's it. And for every department, I want to see the count, and I am planning to run every second, and I want to run my stream application. So in a real time, this will compute the information and then finally expose it as a web application so you can make a curl call and see the information in real time. All right. Okay. So I'm gonna push some this CSV into my Kafka topic. All right. So you see that every second in my topic TMP001, I am pushing these employees, and this has a department ID. So that's fine. All right, so because I'm going to expose it as a REST application on top of a stream application, I would highly encourage to basically pause this video in case if you have not seen my previous video, how to run a stream application where Kafka stream application, where I have shown even, same stream application run in, as a cluster in 2 different terminals, read the topic, do the computation analytics in parallel, and save the result. So pause the video if you haven't seen that, because I will be building on top of that application itself. Though I'm going to put a link over here, but you can always Google it, Shukla, GitHub. Most likely you will see the first few links. Go to my repository, and then something you will like, let's search for Kafka, yeah, Kafka stream project. So source, main, Java, streams, and then it's inside the runner, and then count the stream example. All right, so this you might have already seen that how this application works. Just to recap, from an employee, which is from coming from property file. So in my case, I'm using actually this value, T-TMP001. That's what you can validate in my application property. Okay, anyways, so Just to give a recap, you tap on this stream, right? And then I'm just printing over here. And this guy, what it is doing, it's reading every element and then selecting a key out of it. So basically my value is my employee object. I just get the department ID, select it as a key and group by that key. And then finally I make a call to count. So basically it tells me that for every department ID, what is my count? And then finally I'm just printing it. So basically, if you have followed my previous videos, or you will see when I give the link in this video, you will see that I have run this application into two different terminals, which means they are working as a cluster together. And then one piece is executing one part of sub-topology, and another piece is executing another sub-topology, which is a part of like actually this whole topology. So now once this piece of code is working, let's quickly see how you can expose this as a web application. All right. Over here. Okay, so pass. Okay, so basically, the very first thing is you have to expose it as a web application, and that's where just give a dependency for Spring Boot Starter Web, which means this will expose it as a web service, right? It will not just die after it is started. It will just hold the control and expose the REST endpoint. Another one is just expose a small control. I'll come to that later. And let's quickly see the count string application. All right. So the difference between what you have just seen here, which you have already, I'm assuming you have set up your standalone Kafka Stream applications by following this tutorial in this GitHub. What I'm going to do here is, by default, if you give a count, you know already that internally it uses a store, which is just an in-memory store. If you don't provide any information to expose the data as a web service, there's only two requirements. The first is you need to tell the store name. The second is you need to tell the type of that store, right? So what I'm going to do here is leverage or create my materialized key value store. This is the syntax. I'm not going into the syntax. You can just copy paste. So basically, what you want to tell is that the store you are going to use is a key value store, and the store name is actually over here. Actually, I'm taking reading from properties, and that value you can see over here. So store name is my store. Once you have these two information, you actually created your my materialized. And why is, and this is like the type of key value. My key is of type string and value is long, because I want to tell the number of employees in that department. My department is string because I want to print it nicely. All right. Once you have this one, and you see the only difference between this code where I was just calling a count, actually I'm passing my materialized key. And that's it. Now, when Kafka Stream application store that information, it will actually use this kind of a store, which is a key value with this store name. All right, now I have to expose it as a web application. That's where I create my my controller. It's a straightforward, simple Spring REST controller. You expose that, and I am like just written this method that read store, and I want to give a department ID, and I want to read the value. But the only thing is, like at least in this code, you'll see a little bad programming my side, but actually just to keep the code simple and for brevity and explain in this just to this concept, I am doing a little this trick. Usually in your main project, if you're writing a production kind of a code, definitely it has to come from some kind of a service or component, or basically Spring Bean. But just bear with me for this for now. So basically, I got my stream object, which I started, and immediately in this bean, I am setting this store. And let's see this method, which is exposing this store, which we have stored it over here in this materialized view, because I call my count. So my department ID and the count of employees will be stored in this key value store. And once I set this object, the only thing I'm gonna create a read-only key value store is basically read that stream object, which I'm setting over here. and basically, from that stream object, I, as I said, just need two information, like the store type, which is my key value store, and the name of a store. Once you set this up, your key value store is populated, and it's just a matter of making a call and say, okay, dot get, and just pass the key and get the value. And once you get it, just expose it as a REST endpoint. You take the department ID as a string, and just make a call to this guy and pass the department ID, get the value, and expose it as a REST service. That's it. So let's see, it's working. My utility is already working. It is pushing the data in real time, one by one, in a difference of 1 second. So I'm assuming there will be some employees in some of the departments with a random counts. So let me run this application. You can say mvn clean spring boot run. Okay. Okay, meanwhile, let it start. Perfect. So this has started successfully, and the piece of code which you see is running in real time is basically same thing. You might have already seen my previous video, is basically these piece of code where it is just saying department IDs is spending output. For department ID, number of employees are like this. For department ID 44, number of employees are 20. For department 48, it's 11, just random. Now this application is running correctly. I just need to query as a user. You want to know, okay, for this department ID, what is that my count? That's what this curl. And then for restore, and basically I'm invoking my this endpoint and just pass the department ID. So let's see something which is already there. For department ID 13, number of employees are 31. So 13, number of employees are 31. Maybe if in some time another employee for that department goes from here, this count will be changed. So I see there is nothing came for department 13 so far. Okay, no worries. Let's try another one. So department 40, 15. Perfect. So basically, you have successfully exposed your Kafka key value store as a web service, as a web application. Now there could be possibility that these stream applications are running in a cluster. So let's say you have deployed your 10 instances or 20 instances. They will have their own key value store, and when you're making a REST call, they can land up on any of the pod if you're running in Kubernetes or any of the machine, and that machine might not contain the partition. So basically, you will get null. Maybe I will cover that in future sessions, but that's also very simple. There is a small tweak you can do while running this application. You tell that what is the host and port for this data, and once you expose it, there is a small configuration on the coding perspective where you basically get a metadata, and internally that pod can call another pod which actually contains that data. So that part I'm not covering, but trust me, it also can be implemented in a cluster. All right, I hope you enjoyed that video. I highly encourage that you just check out that project, right click and run it. Hopefully it will work without any troubles. Thank you.